It's your open source advocate, and I'm back with another video, and today I'm going to talk about a networking issue that I had recently. Now, you'll notice I haven't been posting a lot in the last little bit, and there's several reasons for that, but one of those was I had a network problem. So at the end of September, I had to travel for work. This is the first time I've had to travel since before the pandemic. I really just was not ready for it, and it was stressing me out a little bit. To be honest, I have to drive 150 miles one way to get to the closest airport. So I had to schedule a ride because my daughter's in school. My wife couldn't take me. She had to pick up my daughter. All that said, you know, the day that I was supposed to leave, I woke up and my network seemed to not be working and we didn't have any internet access. So something had happened during the night and I wasn't really sure what. I kind of freaked out because I knew I had limited time to figure this out and work on it. I tried all the kind of normal stuff first, would just reboot all the equipment and make sure everything doesn't come back up on its own. Nothing did. I started trying to track down what was going on. I did finally get just the internet at least working. I still didn't have access to my local services, which was really kind of upsetting me because I was thinking, okay, on the trip, at least I've got Jellyfin if I want to watch something at the hotel during the evening, but that wasn't an option either. So I started kind of trying to troubleshoot, and when I got back was really when I got a chance to start thinking about, okay, what's happening here? Now, I definitely did like the wrong things out of the gate. After rebooting everything and trying it and trying to get everything going and the internet was working, I thought, okay, something's disconnected or one of my network cables is not right. And I went to my big mess of cables, and yeah, that was not a smart thing because I started unplugging things, trying to see like, hey, what's working, what's not working, what's not happening here. And I have to move from one part of my house to the other part of my house to where my service stuff is at. So I'll kind of show you what my network looks like. From the modem, from the ISP, I've got my first router, and my router is a 4-port router. It is not PoE enabled, but it is a 4-port router with OpenWRT on it. And I've set this port here to be the trunked port for all of my VLANs. So this trunk port goes out to this router right here. And this router basically says, okay, I've got trunk traffic, so I'm going to send that out to your hotspots. Now I actually have 4 of these. So I have 4 of these different Wi-Fi wall plates throughout my house. They get the trunked traffic, and then depending on the wall plate, I push out a certain VLAN on certain ports so that I can split that out on other switches. So this is a PoE switch. It's not managed. This is an unmanaged PoE switch, and this one's managed but not PoE. And then I've got another unmanaged PoE switch for so these cameras here are technically out in a different place where they are getting PoE capabilities. But yeah, so I've got all of this stuff, and these are my servers that I run, basically all of my NAS systems that I run for servers and services. And here's all my Wi-Fi hotspots throughout my house. So it's not super complicated, but it is complex. And if I have something wired up wrong, it takes me a minute to figure that out. I didn't. I had to get on and start doing some troubleshooting when I got home to try to figure this out. And one of the first things that hit me was, hey, you know, maybe I just didn't plug something in right, or maybe the dumb switch had died. And it's not a dumb switch. It's a managed switch, but it doesn't have any PoE capabilities. But at the time it was just a dumb switch. It didn't have a management interface. It was just a switch, literally. So I went and I unplugged everything from it. I plugged in an extra switch that I had and got it ready, and things started working. Now, I'll say things started working with a caveat. It was very intermittent. So I did have to start doing some troubleshooting. So I do use OpenWRT on any of my equipment that is managed. It's got OpenWRT on it, and it's set up for VLANs, and it's set up for multiple VLANs. So I can show you my interfaces here. So I've basically got the guest, I've got IoT, I've got my regular LAN, which is most of the devices. And at the time, it was just really mostly this. I didn't have the IoT, and I didn't have the services VLAN yet. And then I just had guest, media, and work. So my work computer connects to work. I was able to get on my regular computer, ping my work computer. It worked fine, but other things were not working correctly, and I couldn't ping my services that were technically on the same network on the LAN. So I got on with Scotty from over at Scottibyte, and if you haven't checked out his channel, you definitely need to go do that. He's got some awesome content. He is one of those guys who literally has written the book about networking and infrastructure and everything else over the years, and he does some incredible videos, and he does things that teach you how to do stuff for yourself, how to be a self-hoster, and how to use some really great tools that are out there. But I told him, I said, Scott, I can't figure this out. Like, I've tried everything I can think of and I don't know what's happening. So he got on with me and we started just running some tests, and we used a lot of different troubleshooting tools to do this. One thing I've noticed in just whether it's Windows, Mac, Linux, it doesn't matter. There's really not a good graphical application out there that just says, we're going to make all of these types of things available through one application to help you troubleshoot your networking problems. Now, you've got the Windows Troubleshooter Assistant and stuff like that, but who cares? It's not a very good thing. And I've had people tell me, oh, it always works for me. And I've literally used the Windows Troubleshooter for printers, for network, for all the other stuff, just to let it try to do it. And I have never had it be successful with figuring out what the problem is. And then it gives you the most generic, dumb suggestions that it just is such a useless piece of software that I don't want to count it. I'm not going to count it. That said, I did use Nmap. So I used Nmap to see, like, what devices is this able to see right now? What IPs can it see? And I had my IPs. I knew what they were. ARP. ARP is one that Scotty kind of worked with me to kind of get some ARP information to see, like, what's the network finding and seeing. And it was just kind of weird. And then Traceroute. And then I use NetDiscover. NetDiscover is an awesome application. I have a video on it if you haven't checked it out. Like, if you're ever trying to figure out, okay, I plugged in this thing, but I have no idea what IP address it's got, and it's apparently not pulling one from DHCP. Or maybe it did pull it from DHCP, but I have no idea what it is. NetDiscover is a nice command line utility you can use on Linux. And man, if you just type in NetDiscover-P and then the range of your network, so like 192.168.1.0/24, it will start just kind of looking and listening. And you've got different flags you can run with it and stuff. It's pretty awesome. It's a really cool tool. I happen to find it because I bought some network cameras that came from a Chinese manufacturer, which nothing against Chinese, it's a great camera, and it's got PTZ capabilities, but when you plug it in, it comes with this really weird IP address, and it's statically set. It is not something that grabs a DHCP address. For some weird reason, it just comes with this weird IP address. And I didn't know what it was, and there was nothing in the documentation that came with it, and I couldn't find anything online. So I found NetDiscover, and I just plugged it into a switch and plugged my computer into the switch and started looking for it, and finally found it at like 192.168.143.3. Like, why is that the number they chose? It's such a weird network number, and it's such a weird thing to set it as a static IP address. But yeah, so once I knew that, I could go get it. But this was a great tool, and it's let me find a lot of other things that I'm like, why am I not seeing this device? What's going on? It doesn't have the IP I thought, and usually it doesn't. Angry IP Scanner is another one. This is an awesome tool. If you've never tried this, I think this is built for Windows, Mac, or Linux. I use this one all the time, so you can see it pops up and it just finds, like, here's the network that you're on, and it just autofills 0 to 255. And if I hit start, it's going to go out and scan, and it scans really fast. And you can see, like, how many threads it's spinning up as it's scanning everything. Here's the threads, and then as the threads start to come back down, then it's almost finished. And it can grab a lot of information. Now, sometimes you can run it 2 or 3 times and get slightly different information each time, and it just depends on, kind of what it hits. But when it's done, it'll let me know, like, hey, I finished. There it is. It's done. It scanned that entire network that fast. And now I can sort by these columns. So I can sort by the name, so I can look at all the host names on that network. And I can say, oh, hey, it found all of these things. That's really great. And then over here, I can see the ones that have ports open, and I can go check those things out. So this finds all the devices, lets me know what they are. I can also sort by port, so you can see there's a lot of devices that actually don't give a name, but they do have ports open, so I can ping those things or go and check out and see what those things are. Just by looking at the ports and seeing what I can do. Can I go to the port 80 on the web browser, or can I go to SSH, anything like that? So I really like this tool. It's a really, really awesome tool. I think it's one of those tools that if you didn't realize you needed it, you might realize it right now while I'm talking about it. But yeah, it's great. Angry IP Scanner is awesome. So I use that. And then at the same time, Ping is a really super useful tool. Ping can really help you just decide, like, can I even reach the device I'm trying to reach? And if you don't reach it, then you're out of luck. So if I go here and I just type in Ping, so now in fact, I'll show you. I'm on IP-BR-4A. Here's my local IP address. So I'm on the .10 subnet, and I have VLANs in .50, .30, .20, .40, .60. So if I do ping 192.168.50.50, that's one of my servers, you see it comes back with a ping. Now if I try to do 50.56, it's going to sit there because there's not actually a device there. there's nothing there. There's nothing for it to find. It's going to be, hey, couldn't find the host. And this tells you like something's wrong. If you actually expect something to be at 50.56 and you're getting this, you've got a problem. Now, the other nice thing is if you're rebooting something, you can start a ping. And as long as you're seeing this, you know it's not back up yet. The network's not back up on it. But as soon as you start seeing requests come back, boom, that network's up. I can SSH back to that guy and do whatever I need to do. So ping is a really useful tool. People kind of don't think it is sometimes, but it's actually super, super useful. Before I continue with the video, I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who supports me. You can support me in several different ways, and you can support the channel and keep open source growing. First way is Patreon. Come over here and become a patron. It really helps out, and I'll tell you right now, to all my patrons that I have right now, thank you so much. It means the world to me. I don't think I could tell you how much it means. So truly, thank you. I really do appreciate that. You can do buy me a beer or buy me a coffee as a one-off over at PayPal as well. If you prefer to do it that way, I appreciate it. I love to see those notifications come through. If you're looking to get a little more out of what you're giving, I've written a book, and it's a science fiction book. It's an amazing book in my personal opinion. Of course, I wrote it, so I'm a little bit biased, but I've had a few people read it who said they really liked it. So you could also go over to Amazon and get that. I've got links in the show notes in the description, so you can get to that pretty easily if you want paperback, ebook, hardback. It's completely up to you. I'm really proud of this. It took me a long time to get it written, and I'm happy with the way it turned out. So I hope you'll enjoy it. And if you're not into books, then I've also got a merchandise store that I've been setting up, and I've been doing this for a little while and trying to get it ready, so I'm excited to be putting this out there. But I've got a hoodie. It is white. It's actually a pretty nice looking little hoodie, and it's got the awesome open source logo on it, or one of the logos I've created on it. I've also got a tumbler glass, so if you're a person who likes having a little drink in the evening like I do, then that might be your speed. If you want to push back a pint, then I've also got a beer mug here. Frosted glass with some logos and some information on it. I've got a wine glass if you're a wine connoisseur. I've also got coffee mugs if you like coffee. And if you're just into the t-shirts, then I've got these amazing t-shirts that you can get. They do have stuff on the front and the back, so check them out. Again, it gives me a little bit. It gives you something out of the deal, so I truly appreciate that you're willing to get out there and do these things. Thank you again. Now let's get back to the video. The advanced tools that I didn't really use for this particular thing, well, I did use OpenWRT, but the advanced tools, Wireshark, this is another one that's out there for all the different distributions, Mac OS, Windows, whatever. You can get Wireshark. You can do some pretty complex things. I would recommend go find Wireshark videos from people who show you how to do a lot of this, but it can like catch those logs, those TCP dump logs, things like that, and really give you a lot of information about what's happening. And then there's OpenWRT, which is another one that's really... It's just the software that you run on your different switches and things like that. But being able to get in here and look at it and say, okay, what is it seeing? If I go to my overview, I can go down here and I can literally look and see like what's plugged into this thing. Well, I've got my modem is coming in and it sees that it's plugged in. So that tells you one thing, like, hey, it sees that it's got a connection. That's good. If I went to unplug that cable, it would turn and look just like this. And the same thing here, like it sees that it's connected to something and it thinks it's 1 gig, which is great because that's what it is. And it's got a connection out. So that's my trunk port. Then I can go here and kind of see some other information about my network. I've got a dynamic IP, so it changes all the time. But then I can see like, hey, here's the IPv4 addresses that it's handing out. So it's got all these different addresses handed out. And I can go look for the ones that I know should be a certain device and say like, hey, is that the right device? So, you know, I've got my Apple Watch. I've got my Office Brian, which I don't know what this is. This is probably one of my HomePod minis. There's my wife's iMac. So a lot of different things that you can see just by using what's built into something like this. Now I'd say out of this list of wanting all of these things, the switch and router software is probably your best bet because it is kind of on your network. It'd be nice though to be able to have something like this that actually, you know, I could just run off my desktop and kind of have it go out and kind of poll and ask all these questions and say like, let me gather all the information and bring it back to you in a dashboard so you can see what's happening. But you do have these kind of tools if you can get to them. Now, if your network's down and you can't get to your router, well, what good is it? But, you know, you can go over here to diagnostics. They've got some pretty cool tools built in. So again, you can basically do an IPv4 ping. So I could also just put in a different address here, 192.168.50.52. Let's just do that one. And if I do ping, it's going to go out and run that ping, and it's going to come back and show me the results right here. And you can see it's like, yep, I could hit that. It's there, no problem. You can do an IPv4 trace route as well. So I could just do pangolin.routemehome.org, and I can tell it go do a trace route for me. So it's going to go out there. It's going to start running that trace route. and it's going to come back and it should give me the trace route information. It may take just a second, but there you can see what it does. So it goes out through my network and all of these steps and where it finally ends up to get to pangolin.routmyhome.org. And then of course you've also got this NS lookup, so you can look up what's the IP address. So I could just say, let's go to netbird.fixitdelrio.com. And I can run that. And it's going to tell me, hey, here's what we found for netbird.fixitdelrio.com. So it does have some pretty great tools just built into it from a diagnostic standpoint. You can check out your DHCP and DNS, and you can kind of say like, hey, do I have any DHCP things that are creating problems? So you can go and just kind of look at what all's been handed out already. Just lots of really great tools built into your router. So a lot of times your router software is really helpful, but in this case, it wasn't really helping me a ton. After a little bit, Scotty and I were messing with this, and I was able to reach my Nextcloud server, which is how I'm showing you this document. At the time, I couldn't show you that document, but I was able to reach it through my NetBird VPN. So I couldn't get to it through my local LAN, but I could get to it through my NetBird VPN, which said, hey, it has access to the network. It can reach out to the internet because it's going out through this tunnel, and I'm able to reach it. Why am I not able to reach it locally? What's going on? So we kind of, back and forth. Finally, he said, turn off NetBird. See if that makes any difference. So I turned off the NetBird connection, knowing full well that would not let me connect to it again if it didn't work. But lo and behold, then it was able to connect to my instance. And I was like, okay, why did that happen? What made that happen? I didn't update NetBird. I didn't update anything about it overnight. Nothing should have been changed. Why did that suddenly start happening? Who knows? It was just a weird glitch in the world, and it just gave me all kinds of trouble that left me leaving my home with my family with internet access at least, but not any access to local services. And they used Jellyfin, and when I got back, they were telling me I couldn't watch Jellyfin all week. Like, I'm sorry. So we do use it very heavily. All my services I really love, but yeah, this was one of those things where like I needed some help for sure. And Scotty, again, terrific, awesome guy, and he knows a lot of things to check and try, and he's sitting there with me kind of doing his network, checking on things and saying, hey, try this, hey, try that, hey, let's see this. And we got through it and we got it set up, and that's really where it led me to. I don't just have the one LAN anymore. I have a lot of devices. You saw that whenever I did the scan. I have a lot of devices on my network, and as we move forward in time, we all end up with more and more devices. When I was younger, and I'm going to age myself a little bit here, but when I was in college, especially starting college, I had a phone line that you had to run across the room and connect to the back of your computer, and basically it tied up the phone line. You couldn't make any phone calls. You couldn't receive any phone calls. As high-speed internet got to be a bigger thing, and we got that, it was great, but still, you probably had maybe like a DVR that needed network access to get the schedule, and your computer, and maybe a laptop. You didn't have all these devices. Nowadays, you've got a phone for every person in your family, probably a tablet for every person in your family. You might have a couple of extra tablets on the wall for some kind of home smart home statistics or something. You've got computers in every room. You've got NAS that you run for different servers, and then you're running on top of that all of your containerized stuff as virtual machines, and those all have IP addresses on your network. You've got all this smart home IoT stuff, and I just started thinking, like, the IoT stuff I really do need to start kind of segregating off. So I did do that. So I built this IoT LAN, or IoT network here, and I've started putting some of my smart devices on. I'm trying to put everything on it that uses any kind of Wi-Fi, and it does not have access to the internet. It can't get out to the internet. And if I need to update those things, I go turn on the internet access real quick, run the updates, and come back and turn it back off. Same thing with the services one here. This is where I moved all of my NAS equipment and basically called this services, and I set up my firewall rules so that I can reach the services, but the services can't reach back to my LAN. They can reach the internet. They can go directly out to the internet to do updates and things like that, because a lot of them, of course, run on the internet. But I can reach my services, but the services can't come back to the LAN. So if somebody got in through my services tunnel somehow, they still couldn't get to my LAN to all of my other devices. I mean, they could get to my services potentially, but not my other devices. So I'm trying to be smarter and use these VLANs. And honestly, setting up VLANs in OpenWRT is so easy for me now. And I'll go through it real quick because it's that simple. So we're here on this page. We go to devices. You go to your main BR LAN right here, your bridge. You click on configure. You go here to the bridge VLAN configuration, and you say, I want another VLAN. You just click add. Now it's going to put 61. I could put 70. It's up to you what you put. And then you click which one do you want it to be. So I want this to be on my trunked network, just like the rest of them. So this is my trunk line on port 4. I've got untrunked or whatever it's called. Untagged here. So 10 is on the first one, 20 on that one, and 30 on that one. The rest of these don't need to have tagged VLANs right at this point. They can have them off the other switches, but the trunk network that's tagged one goes out on port 4. You hit save, and then once you've done that, you just need to go in here and create an interface for it. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to go back to this, and I'm going to go here and I'm just going to say add an interface, add a network, and I'm just going to say whatever I want to call it. So test net, and then I'm going to tell it I want a static IP address, and I'm going to go here and I'm just going to pick that 70 that I just created. You see it doesn't have a tag yet out here. Pick it and just do create. Now in here you fill in a little bit of data. So the IPv4 address is 192.168.70.1. I'm going to go here and pick 255.255.255.0. You of course can pick any net mask that makes sense for the network you're creating. The rest of this stuff's already filled in. It doesn't need anything else, and I literally don't need to do anything else on the rest of these except for the firewall. I need to go set up a firewall rule and set it up on its own firewall rule, but I can do that in a minute. Do I want it to have a DHCP server? Well, yeah, because I'm setting this up on the main router. This one's going to be a DHCP server, and it's got 100, and I'm just going to put 50 devices on it. It doesn't have to have more than that, so this will go from 100 to 150 or 149, whatever, and then save. And then I'm just going to do save and apply. And I've now created another VLAN on my main router that's going to be able to be used. So I can have the .70 address space on my VLAN, and that is going to be wherever it put test right here. So here it is. It doesn't put them in order of the number, it puts them in alphabetical order, but that's okay. You could always precede it with a number if you wanted to. And then on my other network devices, so any of them that I want to use it, I don't have to put it on every one. I can put that VLAN only on the ones that I want to use it. So I could say, you know what, I just want that to be in the master bedroom, and I'll just log in. And I essentially go through the same setup here, and then I just tell it like, hey, you're going to be looking for that network. You're gonna cling to that network essentially. So I do the same thing. I go to my devices, I go to my configuration, I add that network. So you can see I don't have 50 or 60 on here because it's the master bedroom. It doesn't need access to those things yet. I'll probably put the IoT 60 eventually. I just haven't done it because there's nothing in the master bedroom right now that's really doing any kind of IoT stuff. But yeah, I mean, I go in here and add it again, just add the trunk line to it if I want to pass that along to something else. And then I've got my untagged over here on my main LAN. So I'm usually just using this for Wi-Fi essentially. But once I've added that, I save it, and then I go back and I do the same thing. I add an interface for it. And then in this case, I would go here and also just add that wireless network that I want for that interface. And I've got wireless to my new VLAN. So it takes, I mean, really, once you get this down, it takes me like 5 minutes to set up a new VLAN on all of my stuff if I need it and get everything going. So it's one of the ways that I'm separating out my network, trying to stop from having to have 1,000 things on one LAN. And really, it's what I should have done from the beginning. I just kind of wanted to ease into the VLANs, and since I did that like 2 or 3 years ago now, I just need to move on and get this done. So that's what I'm doing. Yeah, but I mean, these tools, I just wanted to talk about this experience because it slowed me down a lot, having to do this troubleshooting, having to work through this, having the stress of, I know I have to be at work in the morning and it's very much online. I work remote and everything's online, and I can't be telling them every day my network's still down. It has to be up. I have to have internet access. So I can't afford to screw things up too badly. I definitely am happy that I was able to get on with Scotty and figure out what was going on. I got the NetBird stuff restarted, everything redone, and it's been working fine. So I don't think it was really a NetBird problem. I think it was more of something weird happened that started making things just act up between those two interfaces being up. But I did get it resolved, and NetBird's been working fine since then. Just such a weird thing. But yeah, I mean, this is my network. So this is not everything on my network by any stretch. I've got all kinds of mobile devices that I'm not picturing. I've got all kinds of computers that you're not seeing. I've got all kinds of stuff that actually connects to this. And this is just kind of the main stuff on my network that I'm running. But yeah, I mean, this is a good thing to have, by the way. Oh, the other thing that I use is right here. If I go back into here, and if I go back out of this file, and I go to network. It's this one. I made this spreadsheet because I was like, I'm not doing very well keeping track of what everything has as an IP address, and it's not good to have to go and constantly use the Angry IP scanner to try to find stuff. So I made this little spreadsheet. Now this is zoomed in very much, so don't sweat that part. Check secure. I don't need to do that. So I've got this one here. You can see, like, I lined out all of my different services that I have and what IP address I have set statically on the actual device so that it always grabs this IP address. And then I went and even put like the hardware MAC address for those things, that kind of stuff. It changes actually, so I didn't need it. I've got 50/services, so that just tells me what VLAN it's on, and I need to go map the rest of my network. So I did all the ones for 50, and you can see, then I put my main servers here, and then I actually put my, I'm putting my other stuff as I add it, so you can see I've got all of my external servers there. And then on this one, I'm starting to put my smart devices, so the ones that are on the .60 network. Again, is it local only? Yes. I want local only stuff. If I have things I have to reach out to the internet, it doesn't do me a lot of good. But yeah, these are just smart bulbs. So as I keep adding new things back to my smart home, I'll keep adding to this and try to keep up with this. And I know you're going to send me something saying, but Brian, there's these great applications out there that help you do these things. I know there are. Some of those applications are really big, really complex, really huge things that I just felt like a spreadsheet is for me at home should be good enough. But if you know of one that would do essentially what I'm doing without having to be super complicated, I may have even covered it myself and I've just forgotten about it, let me know. If I haven't covered it, let me know. I'd like to look at it and see if it would help me kind of get this thing straightened out. I know I saw one that I thought looked really interesting and I wanted to cover it, but I just couldn't get it to do what I felt like it needed to do. It kind of like visualized your actual hardware and let you say, here's what my hardware looks like, and you could kind of make the ports connect to each other. I can't remember what it's called now off the top of my head. But maybe I need to go try it again because it may help me kind of do this and actually see like what's connected to what and figure out what's connected to where. It looked pretty cool. I just need to check it out again. There it is. Those are my networking woes. I just wanted to share with you guys. I know this wasn't a how-to video, but it is a video about, it's worth knowing how to use all those tools that I've shown you over the years. It's worth understanding how your network is really configured and set up, and it's worth having these things to help you as reminders to say, like, I know what is plugged into what, and I know what should have what IP address, and I know where it should be connected up onto a Wi-Fi network. Those things can really help you narrow down what might be wrong. Just wanted to throw this video out there. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, like, subscribe, tell your friends about it so they can come along the open source journey with us, and I'll talk to you next time.